day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today guys we're going to be having a chat about the success story of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or more specifically, why PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has become the success that we know it to be. It's no secret that Battlegrounds has risen to become one of the most successful early access games in recent history. As of a few days ago, Battlegrounds broke the 10 million copies purchased milestone, and just yesterday the 1 million concurrent players milestone, making Battlegrounds the most played game on Steam right now, which for an early access title that released a mere 5 months ago is bloody insane. It's been a really long time, and I'm thinking back to the Minecraft days since we've seen an early access title of this nature take off like this. The question that I am personally interested in is why? Why has Battlegrounds taken off to be such a successful game? It isn't the first game of its type. It had competition that was already rooted into the gaming community, that being H1Z1. So how did it become so successful? To me, I think the answer is simple, and we can use Battlegrounds' #1 competitor, H1Z1, as an example of sorts to concrete that answer. It is because Battlegrounds, while it has a simple concept, and a concept that has been explored before by other games, is focused. It aims to deliver a very specific experience, and has done so from the get-go, the experience of a fleshed out battle royale. Sure, Battlegrounds is in no way shape or form a new concept. The Culling, H1Z1 and Arma 3 Battle Royale were all games that were doing the battle royale thing long before PUBG came along, so it wasn't an original idea, if you will. But the thing that differs PUBG from the majority of these other titles is the fact that from the get-go, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds was designed with the intention of being a battle royale experience. It wasn't a game that had the battle royale mode added as a secondary option. It wasn't a mode that was added by the developers later to satisfy the community requests, and it wasn't a mode that was modded into the game from the community itself. The battle royale experience is the spine, if you will, that drives the development of PUBG and is what directs its future development. The way the engine was utilized, the way the map was made, the way the gunplay and weapons were designed, the way looting was balanced, the way car mechanics work, all of that was designed with the brief of battle royale in mind. It wasn't a bunch of modders using a current game and its design to create a version of battle royale. This is a game which has had all of its design decisions made around the question of, will this make the battle royale experience more enjoyable? And that right there is the key. The developers at Bluehole started with a clean slate, an opportunity to come loose from the shackles that would have existed from creating a battle royale mode off of another game that had already been published. Let's take a look at H1Z1 as an example of a game that had its battle royale mode added later down the track. Now, for all of those who didn't know, H1Z1 was always intended to be a zombie survival game. When players purchased it originally, they were promised an MMO zombie survival game that would be complete with base building and a dynamic combat system. It looked to be a potential contender to the DayZ standalone, all the while incorporating some elements of Rust into the game. However, during the really early access stage of the game, the developers decided to add the battle royale mode. I don't know what sparked it, but it happened, and that is when H1Z1 took off big time. Fast forward down the line, H1Z1 was split into 2 games, one focusing on the zombie survival element of the game, and the other on the growing battle royale scene. Now, H1Z1 at the time felt like an awesome battle royale experience, as it was really the only one that did it in the form of a standalone game. But only now does it become painfully obvious that the experience offered by H1Z1 was, and I'll be honest, still is, shackled by the design choices made by the developers when they were trying to make a battle royale game based off of the back of a game that was built as a zombie survival game. Whenever you play H1Z1 Battle Royale, it just feels like the focus is in all of the wrong places at times. An example of this misplaced focus for me personally exists in the crafting system that we have in H1Z1 right now for the Battle Royale mode. Crafting was originally intended for the zombie survival mode, which is great. Zombie survival games and the emphasis on crafting goes hand in hand, but in a fast-paced battle royale game, and yes, as far as battle royale games go, H1Z1 is fast-paced, the presence of crafting just feels like an inconvenience that gets in the way of the flow of the game. In order to get bandages, you need to find a collection of clothing items, shred them, and then craft those pieces of cloth into bandages. It just seems like a convoluted process to get the most basic of gear items that you need to survive, something that in my opinion is completely unnecessary, something that I feel has stuck around in the game simply because the developers had it in the game originally for the zombie survival aspect of the game. Now, jumping back over to PUBG, the developers could have added the crafting system into the game as that was basically the norm for Battle Royale games at the time, but they didn't. And consequently, the whole flow of the game just feels a lot smoother. There's no requirement, if you will, to sit around in a building crafting stuff just so you can survive. And yes, you could argue that the ability to mount weapon attachments is a sort of crafting and in turn hurts the flow of the game in general, but what we have to understand here is that PUBG and H1Z1 have very different gameplay flows about them, despite them being the same in concept. The developers at Bluehole have created an experience that I would argue is a little bit more tactical than H1Z1, considering that the combat in PUBG doesn't just degrade to an AD-AD jittering match between you and another guy at 50 meters. Engagement ranges are longer in PUBG, and running directly at someone in PUBG just so you can close the gap to get into an effective range, something that needs to be done in H1Z1, is a no-go here as well. You instead need to move between cover a lot more tactically, not to mention that the quote-unquote crafting element that is present in PUBG doesn't have you sitting around for a few seconds while you watch a circle rotate that says crafting. The weapon attachments can be mounted instantly while you are moving, and there is no roadblock between you and getting the right gear to have a fighting chance. In a Battle Royale game, the main focus of the game should be on combat. I mean, that is the whole point of a Battle Royale game, to combat 100 other players and show them that you are the best. PUBG places the emphasis on combat by allowing players to focus on acquiring gear and engaging other players, not by adding roadblocks in the form of Inventory Manager Simulators 2017. And hell, the one element that you could consider to be crafting is directly related to a weapon's effectiveness in certain ranges, which just pushes more of an emphasis on the combat itself. With H1Z1, the combat, if I'm going to be 110% honest here, feels boring as fuck by comparison. The lacking amount of weapons makes the variety of combat feel stale, and in the late game there are two effective weapons to use, the AK-47 or the AR-15. If you're lucky, the 308 hunting rifle exists too, but I believe that is a care package only weapon, and the main difference between the two ARs is one is full auto, one is semi. Beyond that, there are slight differences in the tuning of the weapons, but it still makes the combat feel so damn stale. In PUBG, there are 5 snipers, 5 ARs, 4 pistols, 3 shotguns, and 3 SMGs. Yes, some of the weapons are inherently more effective than others, but there is still a hell of a lot more variety in the way that combat actually plays out based on the loadouts that people are fighting each other with. And just as the cherry on top, each of the weapons have unique attachments that change the way they play. There is just so much more depth to the combat based on the weaponry in PUBG alone, which again is the most important element of a Battle Royale game, the combat. It once again comes down to the developers at Bluehole taking the idea of a Battle Royale and focusing on the right elements to create an experience that just feels right. The fact that Bluehole started developing PUBG with the sole intention of it being a Battle Royale experience is what makes it so popular. It's clear that gamers wanted a Battle Royale game that took the genre to the next level. Others attempted it, but thanks to the fact that previous attempts on the Battle Royale genre were made using already developed games and their design decisions that were made for other purposes, it really shackled what the other games could have been. It just goes to prove that you don't need an overly complex concept to do well in the gaming industry. You just need a well-polished, well-executed, somewhat original take on a genre for it to do well. That is exactly why PUBG is so successful. And my friends, on that closing note, that's going to wrap up today's video discussing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and why it has become such a successful early access game, a true testament in the gaming industry to what a successful title looks like. If you guys enjoyed today's video, or if you got any input at all, please do feel free to backhand the like button and leave some comments in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this. If you disliked the video, then feel free to backhand that dislike button and let me know some feedback that you might have in the comment section down below. And if you guys enjoyed the video and you're new to the channel, then feel free to backhand that subscribe button whilst you're at it to keep up to date with the content in which I'm releasing here on my channel. Once again guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, peace out, and I'll be seeing you all next time. Have a good one.